Hi, and welcome to my first video blog on what is Elizabeth cooking now. And today I'm going to show everyone how to bone a turkey, duck, and a chicken for turducken. Now, I've already done the chicken because I wanted to practice off camera. I had never done it before, and I also needed to watch an instructional video while I did it. But now I'm a pro and can teach the world how to do it themselves. So you're going to start with a little whacker here. Remove the giblets, which I thought I got them all when I rinsed out the duck, but I guess I didn't. Those are good to use for gravy, and I reserved all of the bones that I took out of my chicken to make homemade chicken stock. So you're going to start with the duck, breast side down, and we're just going to start by making an incision right down the back of the spine, following the bone. And now it's important to have a really good sharp knife. I just bought this. It's a special boning knife, and I found that getting a good sharp knife collection is best done in pieces. If you can't afford to go out and buy a whole big set of knives, then you just buy them as you need them. I started with a chef's knife and a carving knife. Now I have a boning knife, and before I know it, I'll have a whole set. So now I'm just going along the bone with my knife, separating the meat from the carcass, and you just are sort of teasing it back. And I'm noticing the chicken was a lot meatier between the rib cage and the skin. I'm not getting a lot of meat out of here, but that's okay. So we're just going to go down. It's important, since you're working with your hands a lot, I noticed on the chicken that it's kind of dangerous, and I don't have the best knife skills as to where I'm pointing my knife and where I'm keeping my hands, since I am an amateur. But it's just important to go slowly, because your hands are really a part of this, and to not slice your hand open, because that would kind of ruin Thanksgiving. So we're just teasing the meat away from the bone. And then when you get to the ball and socket joint, you'll be able to see it, and you're just going to cut straight through with the tip of your knife. And it's also hard because I don't want to pierce the skin on the other side. So there we go. And I've gotten now the leg apart, detached from the rest of his body. So now we've opened up a little bit more room here, and we're just going to keep teasing out. And in the instructional video I watched, he said just keep your knife as close to the bone, to the carcass as you can. That'll be your guide, and that'll keep you from cutting off too much meat. It was actually much easier than I thought it would be. I've only made turducken. This is probably my third or fourth time making turducken, and I always got it from the butcher and had him debone all the carcasses. And it was a lot easier because then you just made your stuffing and you rolled it up. But this time I decided, for my blog readers and for my own, trying new things sake, that I would do it myself. And it's actually kind of fun. And I was very proud when I had my completely deboned chicken and I didn't make any mistakes. Knock on wood. Okay, so now we have this whole one side completely separated from the rib cage, the carcass over here. So what we're going to do now is separate the wing from the rest of it, and that was kind of tricky, and that I could not find any explanations, even in Julia Child, that exactly how to do that. So I just kind of wung it, if you will, on how to do the wing. So there's sort of the wishbone part is up here when you're separating the wing from the shoulder blade, and it's really, I was just trying to keep in mind what that one instructional video said, keeping my knife as close to the bone as I can, simultaneously keeping my fingers out of there, and, you know, just kind of learning as I go along. So now we're up to the shoulder, and I'm thinking maybe, so I've broken off the wishbone, and I'm just going to cut through that socket again. That's what I did the last time. Just cut through the shoulder socket, so like his rotator cuff, if you will. And so now we have that separated. So we have his like shoulder blade, part of the wishbone, and his, I should probably stop assigning gender to this guy for all of the bleeding heart animal lovers out there. So I've separated its rotator cuff. So now I'm just teasing back the wing meat. What I did with the chicken, since there's not very much meat on the bone, was once I just separated the wing from the shoulder blade, is I just cut it off. But now if this were the turducken, you're keeping on the wing. If this was the turkey, I'm sorry, you're keeping on the wing and the drumstick, because when you sew it up, you want it to look like a bird. So we're going to come back to the wing. And now we're going to just go down the other side. Again, just these little strokes and teasing and pulling back the meat as we go. And it's really, if you have a good sharp knife, just comes away from the bone really easily. You get a really good sense of accomplishment when you pulled your carcass out. So. And not only are there butchers out there that will debone all of your turducken for you, but there's also lots of places where you can just order a turducken already stuffed. So if you're interested in having a turducken, but you don't feel like doing any of the work, you can just go out there and get like you can order them online. It's a big Cajun thing. As I was getting ready to make turducken, I was doing some Wikipediaing and online researching about the origins of turducken. Now I know about turducken because my brother saw John Madden, the football guy, like carve it and eat it on TV while announcing a football game. You know, whatever makes football more exciting. And so once he saw that, he's like, "You gotta make this." So that's how we found out about it. But it actually, being the historian that I am and my shrewd reading of Wikipedia, it actually dates back to like the 18th century when some guy made a turkey stuffed with a chicken, stuffed with a goose, stuffed with a fowl, stuffed with a guinea hen, and it went on for like 4 lines, all the things that he stuffed together. So that will be the next blog post when I make the guinea fowl turducken. But it's become very popular, and a lot of families have it for Thanksgiving. Now my family, we are Thanksgiving purists, and I mean you can barely change the mashed potato recipe without someone having a heart attack. So I'm just gonna break the shoulder blade. And so we've never had turducken for Thanksgiving, and so this time I decided that I would make it out on the East Coast instead of back home in Chicago for my family, who's had turducken a lot, and my dad is convinced that it's going to like put him into cardiac arrest, so he doesn't like to have it every year, and I just made it last year. So this year we're bringing it to New York because a lot of people here have been asking me about it and asking me to make it, and by a lot of people I mean my friend Bill Wiley. So okay, now we're up to, if this were the turkey, which we're going to do next, we'd almost be done. So we've separated the meat on either side from the carcass. And again, there wasn't a lot of information. This is how the instructional video got to this point. And then he goes, okay, then you remove the caucus. He was British. And then there you go. There was no instructions in between. So I just kind of figured it out as I went along. So I just continued to tease back the skin underneath the bone. And this part is tricky. You really have to pay attention because you don't want to cut through the breast and the skin because you want it to remain intact. This is especially important when you're doing the turkey because you need to sew it up. I'm a little bit nervous about that. But that will have a lot more meat on it, the breastbone, and there will be a lot more meat between the carcass and the skin. So it'll be a little bit more forgiving. And, you know, can't be nervous about these things. As Julia Child told us, you just have to have the courage of your conviction. And in that movie, when she's boning the duck, she goes, no fear. No fear. Just gotta go for it. Just gotta get your hands on that animal carcass and go to town. Okay, so now this really is looking like I'm making some progress. And I can almost pull this thing apart. So just more teasing and teasing away from the bone. Now, the duck was a little bit hard to find in New York City, which is surprising because you'd think you'd be able to get like everything imaginable. But I was having trouble finding it. I finally went to Whole Foods on my lunch break yesterday, and they had one duck left. And I went to the butcher, and I'm like, do you have any more ducks back there? He said, no, it's the only duck in the whole store, the only duck in all of New York City, it seemed. So I said to him, can you hold the duck? And he looked at me very oddly, and I said, well, I have to go back to work. I don't want to bring a duck with me and put it in the staff refrigerator. And he again just stared at me blankly, and I said, okay, I guess I'm bringing the duck to work with me. And so Mr. Ducky and I traveled back to work, and, you know, we had a great time. Okay, so I'm going to continue to get this breast apart from here, and when it's done, I will show you how to do the wing and the leg.